All right, buckle up because we're about to dive into one of the most debated, most screenshotted, most replayed topics in the entire K-pop universe. BTS members' abs. Yeah, we're going there. 7 guys, 7 different body journeys, 7 levels of absolute chaos every time a shirt gets lifted on stage. But here's the real question. Which member literally had fans calling emergency services during a live concert? Who trained so hard that even other idols couldn't stop staring? Which member almost never shows skin, but when he did, the internet crashed harder than any album drop? And who sits at number 1 with abs so legendary that they basically rewrote the rulebook of K-pop stage presence forever? You think you already know? Trust me, some of these rankings are gonna shock you. This isn't just about muscles, it's about moments, about timing, about the story behind every single reveal. From the guy who quietly sculpted a six-pack without anyone noticing, to the one who turned abs into an actual signature move, we're breaking it all down. Facts, real moments, real reactions, real history, no filler. So, are you ready to find out who's just hot, who's dangerously hot, and who honestly should be arrested? Let's get into it. Number 7. BTS Jin. The worldwide handsome doesn't need abs to win, but when he showed them, nobody was ready. Look, let's get one thing absolutely crystal clear before we even start. Putting Kim Seok-jin at number 7 on this list is not a disrespect, not even close. In fact, it might be one of the most interesting positions on this entire ranking, because Jin represents something that almost no other idol in the history of K-pop has ever pulled off. He became one of the most beloved, most recognized, most celebrated members of the biggest boy band on Earth without ever relying on his body as a selling point. And that's a power move. That's a statement. That's Kim Seok-jin in a nutshell. While other idols were doing crunches backstage and planning their shirt-lifting moments for maximum fan screaming impact, Jin was out there winning hearts with his face, his humor, his vocals, and his ability to make an entire stadium of 80,000 people laugh with a single dad joke. The man coined the phrase worldwide handsome and said it with such confidence and comedic timing that it stopped being a joke and became an internationally accepted fact. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where the story takes a turn that most casual fans don't even know about. Because Jin did have moments, rare, unexpected, almost accidental moments where the world caught a glimpse of what was hiding underneath those oversized sweaters and perfectly tailored suits. And every single time it happened, the reaction was absolutely nuclear. Let's talk about the facts first. Kim Seok-jin, born December 4th, 1992 in Gwacheon, Gyeonggi Province, South Korea. He was the guy who got scouted by Big Hit Entertainment literally on the street because a casting director saw his face and thought he was too handsome to not be an idol. That's a real story. That actually happened. He wasn't recruited because of dance skills. He openly admitted he had almost none when he started. He wasn't recruited because of vocal training. He developed that over years of grueling practice. He was recruited because his face was so striking that a professional talent scout physically chased him down. So from day one, Jin's identity in BTS was tied to visuals, to his face, to that classic broad-shouldered, proportional look that made him stand out in every group photo. His shoulders became legendary in their own right. Fans literally measured them, compared them, made entire fan accounts dedicated to how perfectly wide they were. But abs, six-pack, that was never part of the Jin brand, and he seemed perfectly fine with that. In fact, Jin often joked about his body in a self-deprecating way that made fans love him even more. During fan meetings, he would playfully pat his stomach and say things like, "This is where all the good food goes," or joke about how he'd rather eat lamb skewers than do sit-ups. And honestly, in a world where male idols are under insane pressure to maintain impossibly lean physiques, Jin's casual attitude toward his body was refreshing. It was healing even. He gave permission to millions of fans to just be comfortable, to enjoy food, to not obsess over every calorie. That's impact that goes way beyond any six-pack reveal. But, and this is a big but, there were moments, specific, documented, very real moments where Jin showed more than he usually does, and the fandom went into absolute code red. One of the most talked about instances came during BTS's concert tours, specifically during the Wings tour era around 2017. There were fan cams, there were so many fan cams, that captured moments where Jin's shirt would ride up during particularly intense choreography, and fans in the audience would literally scream like they'd witnessed a miracle. Because the thing about Jin's physique is that it was always understated. He never had the super defined, carved from marble look. What he had was something more natural, more real, more relatable. A toned, healthy body that clearly belonged to someone who worked out enough to handle BTS's insane performance schedule, but who also clearly enjoyed his life and his food. And there's something genuinely attractive about that authenticity. Let's also talk about the military era, because this is where things get really interesting. Jin was the first BTS member to enlist for mandatory military service, entering the army in December 2022. And when photos and updates started trickling out during his service, fans noticed something. Jin looked different. Not different in a bad way, different in a "oh my God, has he been doing nothing but push-ups for 6 months" way? The military training clearly had an effect on his physique. His frame, already naturally broad, looked more filled out, more solid, more defined. When he was discharged in June 2024, the airport photos alone caused trending topics worldwide. His face was sharper, his jawline more defined, his overall presence just harder, more intense. And while he didn't exactly do a full abs reveal during any official comeback content, the glimpses fans got through variety shows, behind-the-scenes content, and casual social media posts suggested that military Jin had been putting in work. There's also the famous super tuna phenomenon. In late 2021, Jin released a self-composed song called Super Tuna with a music video that was so absurdly fun and chaotic that it went viral on TikTok. In the video, Jin is wearing a fishing outfit and dancing enthusiastically, and while it's not an abs-revealing moment by any stretch, it showcased something important: Jin's ability to dominate attention without showing any skin at all. He trended worldwide. He had millions of views. He became a meme, a viral sensation, a cultural moment, all while being fully clothed and goofing around. That's the Jin paradox. He doesn't need to show abs to be iconic, and that very restraint is what makes the rare moments when he does show skin hit so much harder. Now, some fans might argue, why is he at number 7 if his reveals are so rare and impactful? And that's a fair question. The answer is simple. This ranking isn't about potential. It's about moments. It's about frequency, intensity, and cultural impact of actual abs reveals. And the truth is, Jin simply doesn't have as many of those documented, earth-shattering, concert-stopping ab moments as the members ranked above him. He chose a different path. He built his legend on different strengths. And that's exactly what makes BTS so incredible as a group. 7 members, 7 completely different approaches to performance, to masculinity, to self-expression. Jin proved that you don't need a six-pack to be the most magnetic person in the room. You just need to be Kim Seok Jin. But don't get too comfortable, because the member coming up at number 6 is someone who shares Jin's tendency to keep things covered up. But when the truth finally came out about their actual physique, fans had to literally sit down and reconsider everything they thought they knew. Who is it? And what was the moment that changed everything? Stay right here. Number 6. Suga, the shadow genius who hides more than just his emotions. Min Yoongi, the guy who built his entire identity around being the cool, unbothered, low-energy genius who would rather sleep than do anything physical. The producer, the lyricist, the guy who once said, on camera with zero shame, that his ideal exercise is lying down. Fans loved it. They made memes about it. Min Yoon and exercise became a running joke that lasted years. So when this man, started showing glimpses of an actual toned body, the collective confusion across ARMY was genuinely hilarious. People didn't know whether to scream, cry, or call a doctor because nobody saw it coming. And that's exactly what makes Yoongi's placement on this list so fascinating. Let's rewind. Born March 9, 1993 in Daegu, South Korea, Yoongi came into big hit entertainment as a rapper with a background in underground hip-hop. His entire vibe was anti-idol. He didn't want to dance, he didn't want to do aegyo, he definitely did not want to take his shirt off on stage. While members like Jimin and Jungkook were out there turning concert stages into thirst traps, Yoongi was vibing in his oversized hoodies, beanies pulled low, barely moving more than necessary during choreography, and somehow still looking cooler than everyone else. But here's where reality crashes into the meme. Yoongi is a BTS member. He performs the same choreography as the others. He trains the same hours. He endures the same grueling rehearsal schedules. You don't survive a 2.5-hour BTS concert, running, jumping, dancing across massive stages, without being in serious physical condition. The lazy Yoongi persona was always just that, a persona. The real Yoongi was grinding in ways fans rarely got to see. The moments that broke the internet were subtle but devastating. During the Love Yourself tour, there were specific performances where Yoongi's shirt would cling to his body from sweat, and fans with fan cams zoomed in to discover what can only be described as a betrayal of everything they thought they knew. Defined arms, a surprisingly flat-toned stomach, not a full six-pack reveal in the traditional sense, but enough to make people pause their videos, zoom in, screenshot, and flood Twitter with "since when" energy. The August D solo tours made it even worse, or better depending on your perspective. When Yoongi performed as his alter ego August D, something shifted. The energy was rawer, more aggressive, more physical. He moved harder, he performed with more intensity, and the wardrobe choices for August D were noticeably different from his BTS fits. Tighter shirts, sleeveless cuts during rehearsals that fans caught in behind-the-scenes footage. Each glimpse was like finding a rare item in a video game. Fans collected these moments obsessively because they were so rare, and that scarcity made every single one hit 10 times harder than a member who shows abs every other performance. There's also the shoulder surgery arc that added an unexpected layer to this story. Yoongi underwent shoulder surgery in November 2020 to repair a long-standing injury, and the rehabilitation process meant serious physical therapy and strength training. Post-recovery Yoongi was visibly broader, more built in his upper body, and fans tracking his physique evolution through airport photos and selfies noticed the transformation in real time. He never announced it, he never flexed about it, he just quietly got stronger, because that's who Min Yoongi is. He does the work in silence and lets the results speak. His military enlistment only amplified this further. Entering service in September 2023, Yoongi went through the same physical conditioning as every Korean male soldier, and the post-military glimpses suggested a man who came out even more solidified than he went in. The thing about Yoongi that earns him the number 6 spot is this: he represents the power of the unexpected. In a group where certain members are known for their bodies, Yoongi flies completely under the radar, and every single time the radar accidentally catches him, it causes disproportionate chaos. He's not here to compete in the abs game. He never was. But the fact that he could compete and chooses not to is its own kind of flex. A silent, devastating, very Min Yoongi kind of flex. But now things start heating up. The member at number 5? They're someone whose body is literally their instrument. A dancer so precise, so controlled, that Every muscle serves a purpose, and when those muscles finally got their spotlight moment, the reaction wasn't just screaming, it was respect. Who are we talking about? You'll find out right now. Number 5. J-Hope, the dance machine whose body is a weapon nobody expected. Jung Ho-seok, J-Hope, the son of BTS, the guy who walks into a room and the energy physically shifts. For years, fans categorized him as the happy virus, the mood maker, the dance leader who keeps everyone in sync. And while all of that is absolutely true, it created a blind spot, a massive one, where people forgot to notice that this man is built like a professional athlete hiding inside a designer outfit. J-Hope's ab story isn't about dramatic shirt rips or calculated fan service moments. It's about something more subtle and honestly more impressive, a body so finely tuned for performance that when people finally paid attention, the reaction wasn't just thirst, it was genuine awe. Born February 18, 1994, in Gwangju, South Korea, Ho-seok was a street dancer before he was an idol. He won a national dance competition as a teenager. He trained under a dance academy where physical conditioning wasn't optional, it was survival. By the time he entered Big Hit as a trainee, his body was already a machine. But here's the thing about dancers. Real dancers, they don't build muscle for aesthetics. They build it for function. Every defined line on Ho-seok's body exists because it serves a movement. His core isn't tight because he's doing crunches for Instagram. It's tight because you cannot execute the level of isolation, popping, locking, and fluid choreography he does without an absolutely bulletproof midsection. And that functional fitness is exactly what makes his physique so compelling when it's finally visible. The moments that caught fans off guard were scattered but powerful. During concert rehearsals, especially behind-the-scenes footage from the Map of the Soul and Permission to Dance tours, Ho-seok would practice in sleeveless shirts or tank tops, and the cameras would catch his arms mid-movement, defined, veined, genuinely muscular in a lean, dancer-specific way. His forearms during drumstick choreo sections became a genuine trending topic more than once. But the real game changer was his solo era. When Ho-seok released Jack in the Box in 2022 and followed it with his historic Lollapalooza headline performance, becoming the first South Korean artist to headline a major U.S. music festival, something shifted. The performance demanded a level of physicality that went beyond typical idol choreography. He was performing outdoors in summer heat for a rock festival crowd that needed to be won over, and Ho-seok delivered with an intensity that left his body on full display through sweat-soaked shirts that clung to every muscle. Fan cams from Lollapalooza specifically became study material for fans who suddenly realized, wait, Hobie has that body? The On the Street era and subsequent solo performances only continued this revelation. Ho-seok's wardrobe choices became bolder, more fitted, and during dance practice videos, he seemed less concerned with hiding his physique than he had been during earlier BTS eras. Whether this was conscious or simply a result of artistic growth, the effect was undeniable. Fans who had spent years calling him Sunshine and Hope were suddenly adding absolutely shredded to the description. His military service, which began in April 2023, making him the second BTS member to enlist, added another chapter. Ho-seok, being Ho-seok, didn't just complete his service quietly. Reports and photos from his time as an active duty soldier showed a man who thrived in the physical environment. He served as an assistant drill instructor, which meant he was in peak condition not just for himself, but as an example for others. Post-military Ho-seok looked harder, sharper, with a physicality that carried a new kind of weight. The dance was still fluid, still beautiful, but now it had an edge backed by visible strength. What puts J-Hope at number 5 is this: his body tells a story that most people miss because they're too busy watching his smile. Every muscle is earned through thousands of hours of rehearsal, performance, and relentless self-improvement. He didn't build his physique for reveals or fan service. He built it to be the best dancer in the room every single time. And when that physique accidentally becomes visible, it hits different. It hits with the weight of purpose behind it, not performance abs, earned abs, and that distinction matters. Now, the top 4 is where this ranking gets truly intense. The member at number 4 underwent one of the most dramatic physical transformations in BTS history. We're talking a before and after so shocking that fans genuinely thought they were looking at a different person. Who is it? Keep going. Number 4. RM, the intellectual giant whose physical glow-up broke the internet. Kim Namjoon, the leader, the philosopher, the man who speaks at the United Nations, quotes literature in interviews, and visits art museums for fun. For the longest time, RM's identity was built entirely around his mind. His IQ of 148, his self-taught English fluency, his ability to write lyrics that make grown adults cry. Nobody was checking for Namjoon's abs. Nobody. He was the brain of BTS, and everyone was perfectly comfortable leaving it at that. Which is exactly why what happened next hit the fandom like a freight train with zero warning. Because somewhere between 2018 and 2020, Kim Namjoon decided he wasn't just going to be the smartest person in the room, he was going to be one of the most physically transformed idols in K-pop history. And he did it so quietly, so methodically, that by the time fans noticed, it was already too late. The damage was done. Let's set the scene. Early-era Namjoon, we're talking 2013 to roughly 2017, had a softer build. He was tall, around 181 centimeters, naturally broad-framed, but lean in a way that didn't suggest heavy gym work. He was known for being clumsy, for breaking things, for the running joke that he was a god of destruction because he couldn't handle physical objects without something going wrong. The image was endearing, the bookish leader who trips over his own feet. Fans loved it. But then the photos started changing. First, it was subtle, slightly tighter shirts during airport sightings. Then it was less subtle, behind-the-scenes gym photos where Namjoon was lifting weights that looked genuinely heavy. Then it was not subtle at all. Those infamous mirror selfies where Namjoon was wearing a tank top and his arms looked like they belonged to a completely different human being. The biceps, the shoulders, the chest development. Fans did actual side-by-side comparisons of 2015 Namjoon versus 2020 Namjoon, and the transformation was so dramatic that it became its own genre of fan content. But here's where it connects to our ranking. The abs. During BTS's muster events and certain concert segments, Namjoon's styling started incorporating more fitted outfits, crop-adjacent tops during dance segments, shirts that were clearly tailored to show his new frame, and during particularly intense choreography, On and Black Swan come to mind, there were moments where his midsection was visible enough to confirm what fans had suspected. Namjoon wasn't just building upper body mass, he had been working on everything. His core was tight, defined, and clearly the result of a structured training regimen, not casual exercise. The sexy Newcomb performance during his solo Right Place, Wrong Person era pushed this even further. Solo Namjoon had a creative freedom that group dynamics sometimes limited, and his styling and performance choices reflected a man fully comfortable in his transformed body. He moved differently. He carried himself differently. The clumsy leader narrative was dead and buried under layers of muscle and newfound physical confidence. What makes Namjoon's story so compelling for this ranking is the journey. This isn't a guy who was always fit and just happened to show abs one day. This is a guy who made a deliberate, visible, documented decision to transform his body and succeeded so completely that it altered how the entire fandom perceived him. There are fan-edited videos with millions of views that are literally just RM body transformation compilations set to dramatic music. His gym routine became a topic of genuine curiosity. Fans started asking what his workout split was, what his diet looked like, whether he had a personal trainer. He went from the one who reads books to the one who reads books and looks like he could bench press you while discussing Nietzsche. That duality is what makes Namjoon's abs moment hit at a number 4 level. It's not just about the physical result, it's about the narrative, the unexpected plot twist, the leader who proved that intelligence and physicality aren't mutually exclusive, that you can quote Haruki Murakami and still have a six-pack, that reinvention isn't just a concept he writes about in songs, it's something he lives. Every time Namjoon's abs made an appearance, it carried the weight of that entire transformation story behind it, and that is powerful. But we're entering the top 3 now, and things are about to escalate dramatically. The member at number 3 has a body that seems almost unfair, genetically blessed in ways that science should probably study. When this person shows abs, it's not effort you see, it's art. Who? You already feel it coming. Number 3. BTS V, the living sculpture whose abs look like they were carved by Renaissance artists. Kim Tae-young, V, the man who doesn't even have to try, and that's the most infuriating part. While other members grind in the gym for hours, carefully plan their reveal moments, and strategically time their shirt lifts for maximum impact, Tae-young just exists. He breathes, he moves, he casually stretches backstage, and suddenly someone's fan cam has 12 million views because his shirt rode up for half a second. That's not effort. That's not strategy. That's just being Kim Tae-young, and the universe decided that wasn't fair for the rest of humanity. Born December 30th, 1995 in Daegu, Korea, Tae-young was the hidden member, literally. Big Hit kept his existence secret from fans until just before BTS's debut in 2013, building mystery around him. And when he was finally revealed, the reaction was immediate and visceral. His face alone was enough to make people stop scrolling. Those features, the sharp jawline, the deep eyes, the duality between looking like an innocent puppy and a runway model within the same second, became his trademark instantly. But reducing Tae-young to just his face would be a critical error, because underneath those flowy silk shirts and oversized vintage jackets he loves so much, there's a physique that has caused genuine medical emergencies in concert venues. Not a joke. Fan accounts have documented moments where audience members needed assistance after Tae-young's ab reveals. The specific moments that cemented Tae-young's place in abs history are legendary within ARMY. During fake love performances, arguably the most body-positive era in BTS's concert history, the choreography included movements that naturally exposed the midsection. And while every member had their moments, Tae-young's hits different because of his proportions. He's tall, lean, with a waist-to-shoulder ratio that fashion designers describe as ideal. When his abs were visible, they weren't bulky or overly carved. They were elegant, defined, but smooth, like someone took the concept of a six-pack and refined it through an artistic filter. That sounds ridiculous, but watch any fan cam from that era and tell me it's not accurate. The Singularity performances deserve their own paragraph in history. Tae-young's solo stage during the Love Yourself tour was already iconic for its artistic choreography and emotional depth, but the styling choices, partially unbuttoned shirts, fabrics that moved like water against his body, created moments where his torso was visible in ways that felt almost accidental. And that is Tae-young's superpower. Nothing ever looks planned. Everything looks like a beautiful accident. accident, like the universe conspired to make his shirt fall open at exactly the right moment, with exactly the right lighting at exactly the right camera angle. Coincidence? After the 15th time? Absolutely not. But the illusion of effortlessness is what separates V from members who make ab reveals feel like performances. His feel like gifts from nature. What fans also discuss endlessly is Taehyung's relationship with his own body image. In interviews, he's been remarkably open about fluctuations in his weight and physique, about periods where he felt more or less confident. During some eras, he looked leaner and more defined. During others, he was softer, fuller in the face, clearly in a different phase. And fans tracked every shift with the intensity of art critics analyzing brushstrokes. But here's the thing. In every phase, when the abs appeared, they appeared with that same devastating casualness. Lean era Taehyung, abs looked sculpted from marble. Softer era Taehyung still somehow had enough definition to end careers. His genetic baseline is simply set to a level that most people can't reach even with dedicated training, and he maintains it while seemingly living on instant noodles and vibes. The layover solo era in 2023 added yet another dimension. Taehyung's solo aesthetic leaned into a mature, sensual, artistic direction that his group activities hadn't fully explored. The visual content, the concept photos, the performance styling, everything suggested a man who had fully embraced his physical presence as part of his artistry, not as fan service, not as spectacle, as genuine creative expression. And when your canvas is Kim Taehyung's body, the art practically makes itself. Number 3 is where Taehyung belongs because his abs exist in a category that's almost unfair to rank. Genetic artistry that requires no narrative, no transformation arc, no dramatic reveal. They just are. And sometimes the most powerful thing in the world is something that simply exists without trying. But the top two are on a level where abs aren't just physical features, they're cultural events. The member at number 2 turned their body into a brand, a lifestyle, a global phenomenon. And every single reveal was a calculated, devastating, perfectly executed moment of chaos. Can you feel it coming? Number 2. Jungkook, the golden maknae whose abs became a global fitness brand. Jungkook, the youngest, the golden maknae, the guy who is annoyingly good at literally everything he touches, singing, dancing, filming, gaming, sports, cooking, painting, you name it, he's probably already better at it than you. So of course, when this man decided to take fitness seriously, he didn't just get fit, he became a walking billboard for physical perfection that made personal trainers worldwide question their own routines. Jungkook's abs journey isn't a story, it's a saga, an evolution that the entire world watched in real time, from baby-faced teenager to one of the most physically impressive performers on the planet. Born September 1, 1997, in Busan, Jungkook joined Big Hit as a trainee at just 13 years old. 13! In early BTS content, he's visibly a child. Round cheeks, skinny frame, the kind of body that screams, I should be in school right now, not learning choreography for 12 hours a day. And fans protected him with that energy. He was the baby, the one everyone wanted to feed. The idea of Jungkook having abs was as foreign as the idea of BTS winning a Grammy, something that felt impossibly far away. Then puberty hit, and it hit different. By the Wings era in 2016, a 19-year-old Jungkook started showing signs of what was coming. His frame filled out, his arms thickened. Fan cams from Blood, Sweat and Tears performances caught glimpses of a midsection that was no longer a teenager's, it was becoming a man's. But it was still early, still developing. The real nuclear moment came during Fake Love in 2018. That ripped shirt. If you were anywhere near K-pop Twitter on May 20, 2018, you know exactly what happened. During a live performance, Jungkook's shirt, whether by design or divine intervention, came apart to reveal a fully defined, absolutely undeniable six-pack. The screaming in the venue was so loud it distorted audio recordings. Fan cams of that moment accumulated tens of millions of views within days. It wasn't just ARMY losing their minds. Casual viewers, non-fans, people who had never heard a BTS song, they all saw the clips. Jungkook's abs crossed over from fandom moment to mainstream cultural event. And from that point on, the man never looked back. Jungkook's gym obsession became its own content category. He filmed workout sessions, he posted shirtless selfies that caused Twitter to literally lag from traffic. He talked openly about his routine: boxing, weightlifting, calisthenics, a protein-heavy diet. He went from talented kid to that guy who looks like he could fight a bear and win in what felt like overnight, but was actually years of disciplined, consistent work. During the butter and permission to dance eras, his arms alone became headline news. Sleeveless outfits during performances revealed biceps and triceps that flexed with every movement. His abs were now expected. Fans knew they were there, but the anticipation of when and how they'd be revealed during any given performance became its own ritual. Every concert had a Jungkook abs moment tracker on social media, real-time updates, screenshots within seconds, fan artists recreating the exact angle within hours. It was an industry. His solo debut with Seven in July 2023, featuring a music video where Jungkook was shirtless, wet, and looking directly into the camera with the energy of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. That was the final confirmation that abs were now a permanent part of the Jungkook brand. Not an accessory, not a surprise, a feature. The Standing Next to You music video doubled down with retro-inspired choreography that showcased his full body in motion, every muscle visible, every movement precise. He wasn't hiding anything anymore. He was presenting. This is my body. I built it. Watch me use it. What puts Jungkook at number 2 is the sheer scale of impact. His abs aren't just famous within ARMY, they're globally recognized. They've been discussed on talk shows, referenced in articles about fitness culture, used as examples of idol training regimens. He turned a physical feature into a phenomenon that transcended music fandom entirely. Every reveal is a calculated event that generates millions of interactions. He's not just showing abs, he's delivering cultural moments. But number one is someone whose abs didn't just break the internet, they defined an era. Someone who made the abs reveal an art form so iconic that every idol who came after was measured against it. One member, one moment, one legend. Ready? Number 1, Jimin, the abs king who turned a body into a legendary stage weapon. Park Jimin, number 1. And if you're even slightly surprised, you haven't been paying attention. Because when the history of abs reveals in K-pop is written, not just BTS, all of K-pop, the first chapter, the biggest chapter, the chapter that every other chapter gets compared to, belongs to this man from Busan who walked into big hit entertainment as a contemporary dance student and walked out as the most iconic abs performer the industry has ever seen. This isn't opinion, this is documented, recorded, endlessly replayed history. Born October 13, 1995, in Gumjeong District, Busan, Jimin trained in contemporary dance at Busan High School of Arts before transferring to Seoul to pursue his idol career. And that dance background is crucial to understanding why his abs reveals hit differently than everyone else's. Jimin doesn't just lift his shirt, he performs the reveal. Every movement is choreographed by instinct, the angle of his body, the timing of the lift, the way he makes eye contact with the audience at the exact second the abs are visible. It's performance art disguised as fan service, and nobody in the industry has ever replicated it with the same precision. The moment that started it all, the moment, was No More Dream Era 2013, BTS's debut. 7 unknown boys from a small company nobody respected. Zero clout, zero reputation. And then, during live performances, this 17-year-old kid starts lifting his shirt mid-choreography, revealing a six-pack so defined it looked photoshopped on a real human body. The reaction was instant. In a debut era where BTS was struggling for attention, fighting for every single fan, Jimin's abs became their secret weapon. People who had never heard of BTS clicked on videos because someone told them, "You have to see this rookie's abs." Fan forums exploded, the clips spread, and suddenly BTS had a hook that cut through the noise of dozens of other groups debuting that year. Jimin's abs didn't just serve the moment, they served BTS's survival. That's not an exaggeration. Industry analysts have noted that early BTS gained significant initial traction through viral fan cam moments, and Jimin's abs reveals were consistently among the most viewed, most shared, most discussed clips from their early performances. He literally helped put BTS on the map with his body. But what separates Jimin from every other idol who has ever shown abs is the consistency and evolution of his reveals. No More Dream was just the beginning. Danger Era, abs. War of Hormone live stages, abs. I Need You, glimpses that drove fans insane. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, a full sensory assault where Jimin's entire performance was dripping with physicality. And then Fake Love, where he joined Jungkook in creating what fans call the greatest abs era in concert history. Except Jimin added something Jungkook didn't: emotion. When Jimin reveals his abs, there's a vulnerability to it, a rawness. His facial expressions shift, his eyes carry weight. It's not just, look at my body, it's feel something. And audiences do feel something. They feel attacked, they feel blessed, they feel confused about whether they're watching a concert or a spiritual experience. The filter performances during the Map of the Soul tour deserve their own museum exhibit. Jimin in a fitted outfit performing choreography that blurred the line between dance and seduction, with his midsection visible through strategic styling. It wasn't just a performance, it was a statement. He owned that stage with an authority that went beyond music, beyond dance, beyond abs. It was complete physical mastery presented as art. What also makes Jimin's story extraordinary is the sacrifice behind it. Jimin has been painfully honest about the extreme dieting he endured during early BTS years to maintain his abs. He's spoken about skipping meals, about obsessive calorie counting, about the pressure he put on himself, not even from the company, from his own perfectionism. There were periods where other members publicly worried about his eating habits. This adds a layer of depth to his abs legacy that goes beyond aesthetics. Those abs represent dedication pushed to its absolute limit, sometimes dangerously past it. And the fact that Jimin has since spoken openly about finding healthier relationships with food and body image makes his story not just impressive, but genuinely important. His solo era with Face and Muse showed a Jimin who had matured beyond needing abs to define him, yet the physical legacy remains permanently etched in K-pop history. Every idol who lifts his shirt on stage today is performing in a space that Park Jimin carved out, literally with his body. He set the standard, he defined the template, he turned a simple physical action into an art form that generates millions of views, trends worldwide, and makes entire stadiums lose their collective minds. That is why Park Jimin is number one. Not just because of how his abs look, but because of what they mean. They mean sacrifice. They mean artistry. They mean a boy from Busan who used every single weapon he had to make sure his group survived, and then thrived, and then conquered the entire world. And there it is, the full list. 7 members, 7 completely different stories, 7 completely different relationships with their own bodies, their own confidence, their own moments under the spotlight. From Jin at number 7, the man who proved you don't need abs to own every room you walk into, to Suga, the silent genius whose rare reveals hit harder because they were rare. To J-Hope, whose dancer's body told a story of thousands of hours of relentless work. To RM, the intellectual powerhouse who shocked the entire planet with a transformation nobody saw coming. To V, the walking Renaissance sculpture who makes effortless look like an insult to everyone else trying. To Jungkook, the golden maknae who turned fitness into a global brand. And finally, to Jimin, the undisputed king who didn't just reveal abs, he weaponized them, turned them into art, and used them to help launch 7 boys from a tiny company into the biggest act on earth. But here's the thing that matters more than any ranking, more than any fan cam, more than any screaming crowd or vital moment. Every single one of these men earned their place through work, through discipline, through years of training, performing, pushing their bodies to limits that most people will never understand. Behind every abs reveal is a story of sacrifice, early mornings, late nights, meals skipped, muscles torn, stages performed on through exhaustion, through injury, through pressure that would crush most people. This list was fun, and it should be fun, but never forget the human beings behind the moments. 7 real people who gave their youth, their health, their energy to a dream that ended up changing the entire music industry forever. Whether they're showing abs or wearing the baggiest hoodie in existence, they're still BTS, still 7, still together, and that is the real flex that no ranking could ever capture. So, which member's story surprised you the most? Which ranking do you disagree with? And most importantly, if BTS ever does a full group shirtless photo shoot, will the internet survive it? Honestly, probably not. Thanks for sticking through every single point. This has been one wild ride. Until next time, stay curious, stay loud, and never stop appreciating the legends while they're still making history.